Disclosure, this podcast is for comedic and entertainment purposes only. Please do not listen or believe anything we say. If you get triggered easily, please turn off this podcast now. Benny and Neil.
Or they could leave it on.
What's up, Neil?
What's up, man? Nothing much. I mean, we were just chatting before the show about kind of, what's happening in America and the election. What are your thoughts on
There's an election?
What are your thoughts on what's happened? Your boy Biden?
So sick and tired of hearing about this damn election. I've been hearing about it since the day Trump was inaugurated, and it's just been 4 years of I can't.
I just think. I think I told you before. I think
hashtag stop the steal.
If Biden does win, I do think that things will calm down. I mean, we've been hearing about this every day. On the news, on comedy shows, like it's just I'm tired of it as well. So
I wish he just. There appears to be irregularities with the voting. It seems that if the supporters of Biden or the super anti-Trumpers or whatever they're called, if they really believe that Biden won, why don't they just do an investigation to prove that he won? Why is it no, it's a conspiracy theory and it's all fake news? Why did you do the investigation? Get everyone to shut up.
I actually heard, I didn't know this, that when the Gore and George W. Bush election happened, that it took 45 days for them to basically solidify that Bush won, because I think Gore was contesting it, or they had the recount stuff. So it's not uncommon, but people are acting like it's been less than a week, and they're acting like it's super uncommon or that Trump's crazy. I mean, this stuff happens. I mean, and like you said, they should want it to be accurate, right?
People were dancing in the streets, honking, drinking, going insane, despite the fact that the U.S. has the number one case, the amount of corona cases in the world. People seem to have forgot about that during the Biden victory parades.
I just saw that they surpassed 10 million in the States now. It's insane. So
I kind of almost feel that this might be what conservatives are feeling too. Obviously, I'm sure they felt it much less than how conservatives are feeling it now. It's how Obama won in 2008. How they feel like this is the second coming of Jesus.
I mean, we have friends, right? And like I said, I believe, Biden. I really believe that he does have some mental issues, and I can't celebrate personally, the fact that a guy with dementia possibly is just in the White House now. And I don't know. I mean, but like I said, I think from what I've heard about him as a person, he's a nice guy or whatever, and he's a great guy. I know
everyone's a nice guy. George W. Bush is apparently a grand guy.
Yeah,
super nice.
But he has, and I mean, I don't know. I just think we'll see what happens. I mean, Kamala Harris. I think that's the ultimate goal. I don't know if Biden will make. Do you think he'll make it the full 4 years?
Probably not. To probably step down, or at least it might be a Cheney situation where Kamala Harris will be running everything. Unfortunately,
that's what I think is going to happen. Actually, I think he's just going to be in the background, and then that way that'll set her up for one, if he dies of old age or dementia, and two, I definitely think she's going to run whatever next election. But some people are saying that Trump might run. Do you think he'll run again, 2024?
Can he do that?
Yeah, he can do that. I think there's been some. There have been some because he only had one. They can do two. I don't know what the rules are though. I know they're only supposed to have two consecutive terms, and then I think you're done. But I don't know if it's like two overall. Does that make sense? Or I don't know if you do one.
Oh, you can't run again after doing one and then do another two. If anything, you'd run again and win one, do that one extra one, and then that'd be it.
Oh, so it is 2 overall then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so he can do that again. He can run again. But yeah, I mean,
That fool's gonna be too old at that point.
I mean, how old is? I think he's like 74, right? And then
Yeah, you can do another. If he does another term, if he wins this and does another term, that'll be fine, and then he'll step out at 78. But to run at 78 and go to 82, that would be.
Didn't Bernie? How old is Bernie? Let me see.
I don't think Trump's trying to do all that though.
Bernie is 79. 79. So old. You're so old. Just too old. Why? I don't like the Democrat. They, like I said, they. I think I'm an independent now, but I supported Obama both years. I actually didn't support Hillary, but voted for her, I think, in 2016. But then this year.
What?
Yeah, I think I did, if I remember correctly. Even with the Benghazi.
We're not friends anymore.
But I mean, but like with Trump, like I was a Democrat. I was fully on board, and I've talked to a couple of friends of ours. We don't have to say who they are. You know who they are, and it's just like obviously where we're from, which is a major coastal left-leaning city. A lot of people, almost everyone we know they're all on the Biden train, right? But I just can't. I mean, they fucked over Bernie for the second time in 2016, which I knew they were going to do. Then they just kind of, in my opinion, they didn't give Andrew Yang really a fair shake. I don't know if it was because he was Asian or what. And then they could have picked Tulsi or anyone else, and they put up Biden. It's just like
Tulsi's a Russian asset.
Yeah, like that stuff. I mean, what did
Hillary Clinton?
Why were they even saying that? What happened?
They got mad because Tulsi Gabbard raped Kamala Harris in the second presidential debate, and apparently according to Kyle Kulinski, the two reasons why she lost the primaries: one, Tulsi raped her, and then two, she started going down this weird path of just one of her main goals was to ban Trump from Twitter.
Who's main goal?
Kamala Harris, while she was running as in the primaries. That was kind of like what she started campaigning about.
I mean, yeah, so for me, that was the. I think I don't know if our votes counted because I think may have been late, but I couldn't. It was just more. I couldn't vote for someone. Obviously, like I said, a party that did that to Bernie. That has, in my opinion, I just think they take minority votes, specifically the black vote. I think they do take it for granted, to be honest. I think they just think, they're just going to vote for us because we're Democrats, and then they do nothing. I mean,
Little Pimp endorsed Trump.
Who's Little Pimp? Who is Little Pimp? Let's pull him up.
Did you see the video? No, Little Pump.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah. And Trump introduced him on. He said, he's like, yeah, welcome, Little Pimp.
I didn't
so
hear
funny. Yeah, you gotta check that clip out. It's funny.
But then I also want to say, I think,
and Lil Wayne.
Yeah, Lil Wayne. A lot of people did, and Kanye. So the thing is, and this is one of the things I've been thinking about all week is I've talked to some friends, right? And people, they have literally told me, and again, there are people that are crazy on the right and the left, and I think even boiling it down to these simple names as right and left is kind of bad, because then once you apply that label, people just automatically think up all these attributes that come with that, right? But I'll talk to these people who are usually, again, on the quote left, and if anyone supports conservatives or the quote right or Trump for anything he does, then it's just they're either dumb or a racist. And I can't believe that someone can say that about 71 million Americans who voted for Trump. Like, just all of them, none of them had any other reasons. They're just racist or dumb, even though they were of all races. And it just doesn't make any sense. The lack of self awareness.
Well, that's what they've been fed through the media, and that's just they just have like the tidbits. They may have read headline news or just heard, or that's just especially in in California. That's a lot of the stuff that we listen to, when we lived there, and that's probably why I voted for Obama in 2008 without any real knowledge about politics. It just seemed everyone was enthusiastic. He was black, young, tired of Bush, first time voting.
Good speaker. Yeah, I mean, I gave him a shot too when I voted for him, and I'm sure he did some good things. And I'm not gonna get on here and purport to know everything that he did about all his policies, like some of the other YouTubers do, or like politics focused podcasts and things like that. But I think like I said, we gave him a shot, but in terms of just what's happened and the way that some of our friends are behaving, or people I know that happen to, in my opinion, mostly be on the left. And maybe I just haven't met any of these like radical people on the right, which I'm sure they're there. But yeah, it's like, and anytime I bring up some of these questions, so I asked someone, the other day, I'm like, because they were messaging me about the election and how Biden won, and how everyone's racist or dumb, and I said, hey, maybe people aren't just voting for Trump on a character based on
Maybe
his
you're
character.
racist and dumb.
Yeah, maybe I am. I don't know, but maybe I'm.
No, I meant maybe you should have said that. Maybe actually you're racist and dumb.
But like
That friend.
Yeah, it's just that I think I'll be the first to say I think as a character, Trump from a character standpoint is kind of an asshole, and I've seen him do some pretty crazy and stupid things, but I mean, I don't elect him. Someone said this recently. I don't elect him, because I like the guy, or a president in general, because you like them. You pretty much elect them for their policies. And there have been some policies that I disagree with. Like, you may know more about this, but I don't. I think that kind of the coalition, strategy to like fight against or push back against China, for example, is probably more effective. And I know there are other things like the TPP. I don't know about the agreement. I don't know if it was good or bad, but like I just know that he's kind of pulled back, right, and kind of taken on China, in like us from a solo standpoint, right? Like, oh, we're going to pull out of all these agreements, and then we're just going to fucking go head up with China. But I mean, what do you know about that? Like the TPP, what happened with that? Was that really that bad of an agreement?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we
Apparently.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, so
they always tack secret stuff in. So yeah, maybe the original goal of it was good, but then they tack all this other crap onto it, so the overall thing is bad. So I think that's what, from my understanding, there was a lot of that. Like maybe the initial cause of the TPP was good, but then they added all this other crap that was bad. But then they sell it only the good stuff.
So I just did like a quick Google search, and like I said, I think as we continue talking about these sorts of things, we'll probably look deeper into them. And we may be also affected by the media, right? Which we know hasn't been quite as fair, in my opinion, recently. And this is, again, as someone who is a 30-year plus Democrat, and who now kind of is starting to feel like, I don't think I've changed. I'm pretty much the same, but I feel like people on the left have kind of changed and left me behind. But yeah, so I'm reading this website that's called In These Times. So I don't know if you guys can, if this is looks like a normal website, but it was the first one on Google. Yeah, so one of the bad things about the partnership is that it gives 9,200 foreign firms the right to circumvent our courts, attack the laws we rely on for a clean environment, safe food, and decent jobs. So it does look like there's a lot of toothless environmental protections and things like that. Lose more jobs. Basically, it kind of looks like more outsourcing of jobs, and kind of like just doing a lot to.
Yeah, probably a globalist.
That's what it seems like. I'm
agenda.
just
You can
scanning.
make as a side note, you can make a political group called Left Behind as people that were originally left, and
That's a pretty good name, though. Yeah, there were, and that was another
I've
weird.
trademarked it. You can't make it.
There were a lot of weird things. Not weird, but like that was another thing I saw during this election. There was a whole hashtag called "Walk Away," the Walk Away campaign. Did you see that? Where
Sounds familiar.
that was where like a lot of these people who were also lifelong Democrats were leaving the party because of what they were seeing with like riots and kind of the stuff that was being supported from the people, the Democratic Party, and a lot of these people were Hispanic, Black, Asian, things like that, and yeah, and it's, I mean, who knows? Like I said, if you disagree with them, that's fine. But to just totally dismiss all these people, I don't know. I thought that was weird. But we'll see what happens. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think?
I hope, I mean, as I was telling some people here, it's a lose-lose situation for the country because if Biden wins, then Trump supporters are going to believe that the election was stolen and democracy is dead, and then vice versa. If Trump actually, uses the courts and win, then all the people on the left are going to think Trump stole the election. So regardless, you're going to have half the population, or 70 million or whatever, who voted respectively for each side. Both of them are going to become disenfranchised with the system and believe it doesn't work. And I think I hope we don't head towards a civil war. If you follow Andy No on Twitter and look at his stuff, he just posts stuff relating to the riots, like arrests or whatnot. And it just looks like hell. I saw one banner says, we don't want Biden, we want revolution. They're smashing business windows, they're smashing church windows. It's just an absolute mess. And now the Trump people are protesting, and then there's clashes. So I mean, this might be as close as we get to a civil war. It might get worse. I hope not, but it's pretty crazy.
I'm more optimistic. I don't think it's going to come to civil war. To be honest, I don't think so. I do think, like I said in the beginning, I do think for all the stuff that I don't like about what the Democratic Party has done, I do think he will, at least if nothing else, be kind of a stabilization force and kind of just keep things stable. Um, yeah, I just don't see like a lot of conservative people going out and rioting. That just seems like something that a lot of the kind of left side will do, and a lot of those people on the left, by the way, the radical leftists. I mean, these people are legit communists. Like they believe that, like they want to just, like you said, destroy the the status quo completely and just kind of reform the nation, which is pretty insane. I mean, they it seems like they don't know much about what goes on in these like communist countries, and they need to take a look at how these people are living. And
Well, these people are mentally ill. If you take a look at the mugshots, like I mentioned on Andy Knows Twitter, like these people look mentally ill. Like they're all very, very ugly. Some of them have their hair colored, purple or
it's
green.
terrible.
The women
Very
are fat or ugly, and like they kind of look like meth addicts. The men have like these patchy, facial hair. They have patchy facial beards or mustache. It's just they just look physically and mentally unwell.
Who is Andy No? I mean, I've heard of him, but like, who is he actually? Is he
He's
a?
a gay American Vietnamese conservative journalist. I
Mm,
think when he was covering the Antifa protest last summer, he was beaten, and he even has like slight brain damage as a result.
mm. Who was
And
that guy? Wasn't there a guy that was like I saw this one guy. I don't know his name, but there was one guy who was showing up at these protests, and then people were harassing him because they thought he was some other guy, like some right wing alt right guy that was showing up at these parties. Never mind, just forget what I said. But
it could be Andy.
yeah,
No, but the thing is, the media, what they do is they don't even talk about these groups. They hardly talk about Antifa. They hardly talk about the riots and protests. And then if they want to silence someone conservative, they just label them a conspiracy theorist, or they label them alt right. and
I
people
mean,
automatically, oh, this is even. I mean, take a look at Fox News. They were the first one to call Arizona for Biden. I heard
apparently
that.
Trump was upset.
Yeah, well, I heard from a conservative female friend of mine who's Korean, so she's. I mean, I guess she could be racist, but I don't. That doesn't really fit the narrative. And sexist apparently.
Racist.
Female Korean, yeah, female Korean friend of mine, and she said that Fox News has become less Trump supportive when what is his name, Murdoch,
Yeah.
gave the network over to his son last year, so that could be a bit of that. But even if you take a look, I started watching some Fox News. If you take a look at Fox News, I think it's more accurate than the stuff that's portrayed on CNN or definitely MSNBC. But when people hear Fox News, they automatically think, "Oh, it's fake news."
I haven't I don't watch the news and stuff. I think I told you the other day I'm trying to like quit social media. I think that has a lot to do with, the divide and just people's mental illness that's been sweeping America. But I do think it's good that you're watching those channels as well, because back to before, like some of these people that were messaging me and our the people that we know, I always challenge them. I say, they're like, "Oh, that person's racist," or like, "How could you support this person?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Have you even looked, at what that quote side, um, what they're talking about, or why they feel the way they feel?" And almost invariably, these people, they literally just stop responding, and like that's the state that we're in, and I think it's a bad place. There's no dialogue happening, and hopefully, if nothing else, like Biden can. Bring some dialogue back to both sides. But then I saw a funny comment someone wrote. Someone was saying, like Joe Biden's like, yeah, I'm gonna unify the nation, and then also he says, but I'm going to immediately void all of Trump's policies, even though half the country voted for those policies. And then it's like, I mean, I just don't. It's pretty funny. Like, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But what else is happening? I heard that the Senate votes. I think there's a Senate vote in for a couple seats in Georgia, which is going to be more consequential
I
than
think me and the listeners are gonna kill you if you keep making that damn noise with the
what
fucking
noise? What
mic.
noise? I didn't
You're
hear
eating
it.
that? Are you using the mic? You using the mic? You using the mic?
I didn't see your message, brother.
Oh,
Okay,
I don't know. There's a lot of mic
hold
hitting.
on. Hold on. Let
Anyway,
me try to fix that. Hold on. What about now?
um, well, I mean, if you stopped hitting the mic now, it will
Is it
be an
hitting now?
issue. It's not hitting now, but
All right.
if we continue doing this, we may have to invest in a slightly more professional mic setups. But we'll see how that plays out. What was the question?
So there is, I think, a couple Senate seats that are up for
Oh,
grabs.
I don't
In
I'm just so sick and tired about hearing about this shit. I've heard about it. It's been going on ever since, it was a few months after we moved to Asia that I started hearing about this every day in the news. Trump did this, Trump did that. It's just getting sick and tiring.
That's why
What
people.
might be interesting though for the listeners is, considering we're from Asia, is how this will affect Asian countries.
Yeah,
Biden's
yeah.
win. I was just looking at the news in Korea here, and it says I think President Moon is a little bit worried that all of these peace talks with North Korea are going to fall flat, because I mean during the presidential debate, I think it was the second one, Biden called Kim Jong Un a thug. He's a thug. He's a thug. A thug. So I think he's going to take more of they call it Trump was taking a top bottom approach, which is kind of dealing with Kim Jong Un to reach a peace agreement, whereas the bottom up approach is, the diplomats doing their stuff. And I think Biden is going to be taking an approach that Obama took, which is kind of just sanctioning them until they
to
stop it. And then, so that's going to piss off Kim Jong Un. He's going to launch missiles. That's going to have Moon's whole campaign fall apart. Which I'm happy, because I really don't like Moon.
how are the Korean markets reacting? You guys have an exchange, right?
Yeah, we
How
have
are the
the
markets reacting?
we
I
have the
know that
Kazpi.
the Nikkei, here in Japan, was up when Biden won. But yeah, I think in terms of with like the top down approach that you were talking about, um, that would be a shame. I think, like I said, for the people who are listening, who are triggered or think, or they're already probably calling us bigots and alt right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just so crazy that um, they can't think about one good thing that Trump has done, which I like how he's been on China. I think he could have done it a different way, but I do think they have been playing around, playing games, and I do think that someone needs to stand up to them and stop just bending over to take it basically from China just for some money. And he was the only one that has done something like that. But like I said, I think Obama's long-term plan was that kind of like soft power move, which may be better in the long run. But uh, yeah, I mean, in Japan, I mean, people, I think Suga-san, there's a new prime minister, Suga, who took over from Abe, your boy. Um, and he's pretty. He sent a congratulatory message, saying, "I look forward to working with you, strengthening the alliance, and things like that." Um,
Cuck.
no, I
Threw
mean,
Trump under the bus immediately. They tried to.
did he? I don't think he threw him under the bus, and he just congratulated Biden. But because I
Well,
think
I meant Netuari. Is that how you say his name? The Israeli dude.
Netanyahu.
Israeli. Yeah, whatever. He congratulated Trump, or no, he congratulated Biden, but he also thanked Trump. I think that was a regardless of what you think of his policies, I think that was a very noble thing to do. Whereas, Moon just congratulating Biden, hope to work, already setting up meetings. Like, whoa, bro, he didn't even win yet. Let's slow that horse. Slow that horse down. Good news for me, though. Apparently, the won is projected to grow stronger. And finally, I'll only have to pay a 10% premium when sending money back to the U.S. instead of the 20%, thanks to the strong dollar that has been
Wow, that's a lot.
there. So that's good news. Happy to hear that.
What do you
Weaker
think?
dollar.
So, yeah, I mean, I think. What do you think is going to happen for Japan? I don't think much is going to change. For Japan, I know that Trump was talking about for a while, taking his troops out of Japan and like Germany and things like that. But I don't know. Will that change? Is that going to ramp up? I mean, one thing I do want to talk about actually. Speaking of like troops, um, didn't Donald Trump kind of make good on what he said about trying to end the wars? Like I think he brought a lot of troops home, right? There's only about 6,000 or 7,000 still remaining in the Middle East. But what do you think is going to happen on the war front? I mean, do you think the warmongering will continue?
The imperialism. I meant. I don't know enough about it. But I do know, just speaking Korea, I think if a Biden administration would be much more stricter on North Korea, which will lead to more missile launches and a further relationship between the U.S. and North Korea, which I think is what China wants, because they don't. China does not want unification on the Korean Peninsula.
Mm.
Because that would make Korea stronger in Asia. That would also, have a U.S. friendly country on the actual mainland continent,
Mm.
and that is not in China's best interest. So, I believe that China rigged the election.
Do you think they rigged the Moon election?
Oh, I've heard allegations that what happened in the U.S. is exactly what happened to the National Assembly election that took place earlier this year, according to conservative friends I have in Korea. Apparently, there is substantial evidence, but similar to the U.S. election, the left just said it's a conspiracy theory and ignored all requests for investigations and recounts.
Why is I don't know why the word conspiracy theory, like this expression, has started to mean that something is just not true, when all a conspiracy theory is a theory that a conspiracy took place, and all that means is that people conspired to do something, right? Which is, I mean, but you see, when people say that, it's just like, oh, conspiracy theory, it's just bullshit. Like, that guy's crazy. But it just means that someone made a plan, and did something. So it's entirely possible. Not to sound like Joe Rogan, but it is entirely possible.
I mean, yeah, the people that I speak to, like my female Korean friend, she's extremely smart. Her dad's a math professor at the most prestigious school in Korea. A guy I spoke to the other day, he graduated the most prestigious school in Korea, works at a hedge fund, and he says that statistically, the Korean election, the results are impossible.
What were the
Based on
results? What happened?
pretty much the Minjudang Party, or the Democratic Party, far left party, won a majority of the National Assembly, which is essentially, you know, Congress and the Senate combined. And they said that they had 2 days of early voting, and he was saying that with the percentages, you would, even if the with the percentages of who would be likely to vote for which party were split out amongst the days, that the average for each day would match to that majority, however, or that average. However, he was saying that the people who voted before the actual election day, that skewed mostly towards the left, and the people who voted on the actual day skewed mostly towards the right, which, according to him, who, being a hedge fund, is, I would say, pretty good at math, statistically unlikely, highly unlikely.
Isn't that exactly what they say happened in the States? So most of the mail-in
Oh yeah,
ballots.
yeah. So that's what I have another friend who's pretty intelligent, much smarter than me. He also said the same thing. It's almost exactly the same.
But I mean, this is kind of an interesting segue. So the whole reason why this absentee ballot thing happened was because of the coronavirus. And I mean, what do you think is going to happen with the coronavirus? Because I just don't. Some people, and I heard this, and again, I'm just kind of bringing up some ideas that I've been hearing, which are a bit interesting. But I've heard, some people are saying that once Biden goes into office, like let's say he wins, then they're going to start opening up the economy and stuff. But that the Democrats actually kind of used the whole coronavirus crisis as a way to attack Donald Trump, which almost didn't work, right? Because they were expecting like a blue wave, but then apparently there was a narrow victory on Biden's part, assuming he wins. But allegedly, that the Democrats, the part of the reason why they pushed all these lockdowns and kept things closed for so long is that all of the other attacks against Donald Trump just didn't work. And again, for me, I feel it's important to stress. Like I said, I don't like the guy as a person, but I'm just talking about being fair and like kind of calling a spade, because I feel like there's a lot of shit being talked about him, but then nothing being talked about Biden or like the left, and it's like that is the part that is kind of unsettling. But yeah, so that like the Democrats are, once Biden's in, they're going to start like, oh, let's open back up. We got to get people back to their businesses, blah, 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 in order to make it seem like it was all Trump's fault, that everything went bad, with this disease. But I don't
You don't
know.
think they're going to do nationwide lockdowns? I would imagine they would start doing nationwide lockdowns and follow what Europe's doing right now.
You mean once Biden's in?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it could happen, but I mean, how long can they keep doing that though? So many people, have kind of lost their jobs, and I mean, I just don't see how long are they going to do the lockdown.
It's these people that aren't wearing the fucking mask, and I don't understand. I can't understand this
Yeah,
reasoning. Like,
I wear the mask. I mean,
it just makes sense.
yeah, I mean, some people claim it doesn't work. Um, but I mean, how could it not work? But then I also read an article that they're saying that the regular flu is kind of down this year. Did you see that?
Yeah,
So
because people are. I mean, I haven't gotten sick once this year as a result of wearing the mask, and I mean, not the mask isn't a super shield, obviously, but wearing the mask and there's hand sanitizer. There's more. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sensitive about having my hands washed before touching things, but a lot of people in Korea they just you know they don't fucking wash their hands.
I
People
saw a
take
guy.
shits and obviously, okay, obvious disclosure. I'm not talking about everyone, so shut the hell up. If Korea, you can't say that about Korea. People don't want that. People take shits and they don't fucking wash their hands. Even if you pee in the stall and lock it, you've now touched the lock, which somebody has taken a shit and touched without washing their hands. So there's just shit particles everywhere. People coughing in their hands, touching everything, and then touching their faces and whatnot. It's extremely dirty. At least now people are being majority of people are washing their hands or using hand sanitizer. So I think that's one of the reasons why the cold and flu are down. But interestingly enough, in Korea, almost 100 people have died from getting the flu shot this year.
Really? So how did they prove that it was from the flu shot? Or
No, well, apparently there's no connection. People are getting the flu shot and they've died, and I don't know the percentage of people who've gotten the flu shot compared to how many people have died, but obviously it's abnormal uh, abnormally
abnormally high?
abnormally because they're talking about it in the news, and it's not some of the people have been old, but even a kid that was 17 years old died after getting the flu shot.
I know some people that have gotten the flu shot this year, and I'm glad I heard. I'm looking at the CDC right now, and they're saying that yeah, it says influenza activity is currently low in the U.S. and globally, um, and they're attributing it to community wide mitigation measures against COVID. So it's decreased, from above 20% of people to just 2.3% of people. So it's basically super low, the percentage of the activity of the flu, which is pretty great. I mean, that's good news. But yeah, speaking of people not washing their hands, I saw a guy come out of the stall and just rub water on his hand. There was soap right there. I don't know why he didn't use the soap, but he just rubbed his hands in the water and then just left. And I've always wondered, if there was no one in the bathroom, then that's fine. But don't you feel ashamed? Like, I just saw you come out. I just saw you. You don't think like, hey man, this guy's gonna see me not wash my hands, and they just leave. So man, I don't know. It's pretty. It's pretty gross. It's pretty gross.
Yeah, it's 90 the 97 fatalities are broken down into 41 people aged 80 or older, 40 people in their 70s, 8 in their 60s, and another 8 under 60.
So most of them
The
are old.
Yeah, the health agency, but one kid was 17. The health agencies reported said it found no direct link between flu shots and deaths, urging people to get flu vaccinations before the onset of winter amid the coronavirus pandemic. Before going to sleep, the crazy thought. Okay, so far more than 11.6 million people received the flu shot. Um, so I guess
But
that's a
what,
lot. One crazy conspiracy came to my mind is what if this flu shot in Korea was actually the a coronavirus vaccine that they were kind of testing on the people?
isn't the flu a coronavirus? See, that's why people were saying that it's in. They were in the beginning. They're like, oh, the coronavirus is just the flu, because I think the flu that everyone talks about, the quote unquote flu, is a coronavirus. So coronavirus is just a how can I say this? It's a family of viruses, of which I think the flu is one. So yeah, I mean, and to your point about the conspiracy, it could be. I mean, it could be the vaccine that they're testing. One thing too, if people are listening, I did see on TV yesterday that as we approach winter, and this may be why they say that the regular flu increases in winter and people get sick, is getting a humidifier for your room. And they were showing that this like 3D model of the particle spread of someone speaking and how far the virus particles went in a dry room, like a room with dry air. I think like 10% humidity. versus a room with like 60% or something. And the water in the air of the more humid room causes the air particles, the virus particles, to drop much quicker, so they don't fly as far. So yeah, make sure you get a humidifier. Keep your room nice and moist during the cold winter months.
Oh yes, love it moist.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's getting cold already here. It's getting
But
cold.
no one's. I don't understand what the end game is, because once the vaccine comes out, I don't know anyone who is going to get this vaccine. I've asked people. Nobody says they're going to get it. I'm not going to get
I'm
it. I
not getting
wouldn't.
it.
I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I'm not getting some brand new rushed vaccine. And if
Right.
only if some of the people get it and not everyone, then isn't the virus just going to evolve to overcome the vaccine? Which means we've just wasted our time and money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still taking the vitamin D and zinc every day.
Well, yeah, that's the vaccine right there.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. To be honest, I'm just so glad. I'm glad the election's over. I don't want to. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Um, yeah, I'm glad it's over. It's over.
It's so mentally draining as we're talking about it yet again.
And you know what the funny thing is, at work, and I'll be at work, and it's we try not to talk about it because I have some people there that they just don't want to talk about politics. Um, and then it just still always comes back up. Like, just someone brings it up, and then it just some gets sucked back in. It's sucked back in. So finally, it's going to be done. I think we should. I think we should even just give it a break, see what happens, and then just stay off of social media, man. It's going to cause you to go insane. It's going to cause you to go insane. Like, what else?
But don't stay off this podcast, because that will make you. That'll make you very sane.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything?
To this
podcast? I don't even remember what did news used to be like. Like, do you remember before 2016? That's crazy. I didn't think, like, what did they talk about? Like, I don't know.
Terrorism.
Oh yeah, this is
That's one thing. I don't recall there being any domestic terrorist attacks
when
since Trump has been.
No, didn't they have that? What about the guy who went to Vegas and just shot up?
Oh yeah,
wasn't that?
Well, that guy was white.
Yeah, that guy was white.
I meant Well, I meant there's been no jihad.
I mean, what about in France though?
Well, that's not the U.S. I was gonna make a video, because apparently apparently some Muslims in Korea, I think 2 of them posted some threatening messages on the French embassy.
And the Muslims in Korea?
Yeah, like 1 or 2, and they arrested them. And then I was going to make a video about that, but I was like, no, I do not want to get beheaded.
How did that happen in the France thing? Like, what did you read about that? What happened? How do you just sit in the street and behead someone?
They're crazy. The extremists.
Yeah, the extremists. Let me see. But yeah, he's like a history teacher or something.
I consider myself a refugee.
Yeah, I mean, we left,
escaping the West.
We left the West. We can't escape though. This is the how do you say?
Heading East podcast with Benny Neal.
No, this is the reach of the culture of the West. It's like, I was at a hotel over the weekend, and you know how they have, when you turn on the TV in the hotel, they only have like 4 channels, and then when it's like that BBC World channel,
BBC.
Yeah, it was literally the election nonstop. They just switched to another screen with like more models. Oh, Trump, this is the way he could win. Blah blah. They kept talking about it. Just never ends. I just can't. I'm looking up this French guy that got beheaded. Wow. Do you think though that the lockdowns, though, do you really think they're going to end, or do you think this is going to be an extension of the the Patriot Act, where they took rights. We've never gotten the rights back, and they will never give them back. But do you think this is going to be a permanent disease issue that is hanging over the populace? Where it's like, whenever they want to turn up and assume control or do something, they'll, oh, the virus is out again. We got to lock down. Or do you think it's going to end?
I hope it's gonna end. I want to travel.
Yeah.
I'm stuck.
Yeah. I mean, part of me thinks that
I want to consume cannabis.
part of me, yeah,
I can't do it. In this country, it's too illegal.
but I mean, part of me thinks that it will continue being used, to kind of. But then I don't know what the point of that would be. Like, why would they do that? And what?
Control people.
Yeah, I mean, to what? But usually they want to control people to a certain end, right? So, like with the Patriot Act,
Restrict travel.
Yeah, but then again, but like, why? Like I said, let me just finish the point. So, for the Patriot Act, you could see the reasoning why they would want to, do warrantless wiretapping, for example. Or I think they still have to get a warrant, but it goes through like these courts that are basically set up to just rubber stamp any request. So then they just like, it's like a fake process. Like, oh, we need to get a warrant on, John over here. And they just approve it, approved. And then they just start, monitoring a person, whatever citizen that was. And then that could be for a reason, maybe some, internally, domestically, they want to learn more about people or what they're doing and control them. But why would you want to, like, a global lockdown? You can't travel. And I've heard that the UK, you can't fly to China from the UK anymore now. They shut it down because the UK is in the middle of another shutdown now. So,
in Korea, the system is that if you have the virus, they could search your bank records and see where you've been.
Ooh, that's pretty.
At what times and whatnot. So it's an extreme violation of privacy. But
that's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's one of the drawbacks, of Asia, and again, I think it's clear, and I don't know, I think, I don't want to speak for you, but pretty sure you probably feel the same about this. We came, to Asia after leaving the West, and we kind of saw where things were going. We kind of didn't like it. It's still a good country. I love America. It's still a great country. It's my home. But we kind of didn't like how things were shaping up and how things were how things were. So we left. And coming here, there are some things I don't like, but I'll always respect that this is not, America, and that's fine. There's some people that want to come and change things. So, for example, a lot of people are moving to Idaho or Colorado or Texas, and they're trying to change these states to blue states. I think Colorado's been Democratic, but like, say, for example, Texas. Oh, we gotta change Texas blue from California, or from other kind of coastal cities. And yeah, so we are not doing that. But one thing though is here they don't have the privacy rights that a lot of people have in the West, and so. That's another thing I hope, people listening to the show from the West will kind of realize that, everywhere is not America. You guys we have been very fortunate to grow up in these places. And here you can be stopped. I was stopped the other day and they can just ask for your information. They can just get your
I should have
ID.
arrested you, to be honest.
I wasn't doing anything wrong. Just didn't have a light. My light was out on the bike.
It's a federal offense.
But yeah, like I don't think they can do that in the U.S. Like if they stop you, I think due to the Fourth Amendment, I think they have to have like probable cause or a reason. Like maybe they thought.
I thought they you got the busted taillight.
Yeah, but that's the reason, right? That you get the busted.
The reason you didn't have the light, the bicycle light.
Yeah, that's true. No, that is true. But that is true. So I'm not saying my situation exactly, but there have been cases where I've just seen like. A guy, like I was about a year or two ago, I saw some other foreign guy. I think he was like Vietnamese or something. He was just walking, and these two cops just stopped him for no reason and like checked his bag, like got his ID. Like,
Isn't that what New York did? The stop and frisk under Michael Bloomberg.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you know about that? I heard about that, but I don't know.
Yeah, they could just stop and frisk anyone.
Which I think that's why there was a whole issue, right? I mean, it's not. I think that's why it was a problem, right? They're not supposed to be doing that, but
Did drive
yeah.
crime down though.
I don't know. I don't know enough about that to discuss that. But apparently, I think the Supreme Court ruled that frisking someone for weapons is a kind of a reasonable precaution for cops to take. So I think that's why it was ruled that they could do that in the Supreme Court. I think it was the '60s, right? You gotta fact check.
No, it's like '90s, dog. I said Michael Bloomberg.
No, but I'm saying that it was in the '60s. That's the Supreme Court ruled that they could do that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. Obviously, I know the.
What are you saying?
The Bloomberg thing happened. You don't know. You don't know about it. You don't know. Just you got to learn more about it before you comment on that, Chief.
Why don't you educate me, dog?
I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, we're almost. We had to restart the show. It's been a while, so good to hear from you all. Benny got scared, didn't want to continue.
That is not true.
He was afraid of.
I was waiting on you. I was waiting on you.
He was afraid of being silenced.
We were silenced.
We're probably going to be fired from our jobs. And
I don't even have a job.
We're going to be
You already
canceled.
silenced me.
We're going to be canceled. I mean, all the stuff I've said, I've said all this stuff at the job, though, so it's all good.
You're golden.
Keep it real, like Dave Chappelle. His show's coming on Netflix, apparently. Did you see that?
Just old episodes.
Yeah, but you haven't seen all those, have you? You weren't into Dave Chappelle.
I told you who Dave Chappelle was.
I've been watching Dave Chappelle since I was in grade school.
Yeah, me as well.
Good guy. Good. He's getting up there, man. I think he's like, how old is he now? Let's see how old he is.
50?
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No, he's 47. 47.
Wow, yeah. Give or take. Practically 50.
Almost there. Yeah.
I don't know if we have anything else left to talk about.
Yeah, it's probably good to wrap up. So anyway, it's great to
wrap up that gavel, G. Wrap it up.
Great to speak with you all. So this is Neil, and here with my bigot, racist co-host, Benny.
Oh, don't forget sexist and homophobic and transphobic and
what do you think?
Arachnophobic.
Hold on. I just want to. Speaking about the trans thing, hold on. This is one thing that I do want to.
Now you're gonna get the trans people on us.
No. Okay, man. I just think, and I just. I feel I don't care enough because it doesn't bother. I'm not involved, but it's just, why is it cool to give children hormone blockers? I just think that I just want to put that on the record. Giving an 8-year-old some hormone blockers, I think, is insane. I think it's not the right thing to do. I think anyone who's doing that is just they're crazy.
Child abuse.
I think it's a form of child abuse. I do. I think it's. But yeah, I mean, why is that controversial now? It's very, very strange.
This is the part of the agenda of the left.
Yeah, I mean, but see, I don't like that wording, because then if you use that wording, right, then people it's very easy. They just put you in the box, like, oh, you're just a right wing race. They just put you in the box. I mean, why is that? It shouldn't be political. Your kid is 8 years old, and you think that giving him or her, because they played with a pink doll, that, oh, they must be a girl. They must be in the wrong body.
I don't know why we're changing our society based on an extreme minority of people.
Yeah. I mean, but it's just weird how like this is part of like the beginning of the conversation. Um, I think comedians, a lot of these stand-up comedians, like Dave Chappelle, I think last year had that Sticks and Stones episode. And he had a bit about, I think it was that one. He had like a kind of a bit about feeling like he was Chinese. Did you see that when he was talking about the whole trans thing?
Mm.
And he was like, "What if I just said that I feel like I'm a Chinese man or something? Like, what would people think? Like, they would be like, but see, these comedians have some of the most sane viewpoints that I've seen lately. It's just like,
There's a video about this on YouTube where this guy who trying to call out the ridiculousness of it. And again, this is not calling trans people ridiculous, but this is kind of saying the people that don't go on, they don't get the surgery and they don't get the hormone blockers or whatnot, but they're still calling themselves the other gender. He went on campus and he was just asking these students like random questions. What would you say if I said I was a woman? And they'd be like, oh yeah, I'd be happy for you. And he's like, what if I said I was 6 feet tall? And then he'd start asking more and more ridiculous questions.
mm.
And then the name of the video is Gender Identity: Can a 5'9" white guy be a 6'5" Chinese woman?
Where
And it's on YouTube. You just search up gender identity or can a 5'9" white guy be a 6'5" Chinese woman? It'll come up. He pretty much starts off as like, oh, is it okay if kind of shows how the college students they just don't want to disagree with anyone. So he starts off, can I be a woman? They said yes. Can I be 6'5"? And then they're like, hey, and then can I be Chinese? And they're like, yeah, I'd question about maybe why you thought that, but yeah, that's cool, man, whatever. And then it ends with, can I be a 6'5" Chinese woman? And then the students look a little bit dumbfounded. But I think that's the kind of direction we're headed in.
But then again, that's what like, I had this conversation with someone else. I think it was a different context, and I think it was about the idea of saying no, right? And it took a long time for a lot of mistakes, not very many big regrets, but some that I've had because of not being able to tell someone no. And I think a lot of people, I don't have that issue anymore. But a lot of people have that. And in Japan, I don't know about Korea, but in Japan, there's a lot of this, keeping the peace kind of culture where everyone's heard the nail that sticks out gets hammered. I think it's probably the same in Korea, but particularly I think in Japan with the like people don't want to be rude. So I was talking to this person and she was saying like, oh, if someone asks me um, to do something, like I just feel like I can't say no or whatever. And then I was kind of talking to her about the concept of, okay, what if you say yes and then there's an outcome that you find unfavorable? Like that person who originally asked you, they're not going to give a shit or care about how you feel after, but then you're going to be mad when if you would have just said no from the beginning, yeah, they might think you're rude, but who cares? Like, who cares what they think? And I think I brought you up too because we talked. Maybe we can talk about this in a later kind of time, but about your experiences with like the cult. Like a cult person trying to invite you to the cult. And I had an incident with this, and I don't know if I told you, but a few years ago when I was living in the countryside, I was at a McDonald's and these two women were sitting there. So I sat next to them and they were like in their 40s and they were with some 11-year-old girl. And the girl was just on the phone, right? The whole time she had some headphones on. But they started talking to me. And this is the only time that I have been approached by someone from a cult. But I forget what they said, but they were like, oh, how have things been? What do you think about the state of the world? And they're like, yeah, aren't things are pretty crazy right now, right? And we really need to get back to, understanding and peace, or I forget the words they were using, but pretty much immediately I started thinking like these people are weird, and they pulled out this sheet of paper. Um, but it just looked like if someone had like a meme of like a cult, a cult document, it would look like a cult pamphlet or something. It would look like that. It was like a picture of an old Japanese guy's head in like a circle, like a headshot, and then behind him was like Mount Fuji, and then like
Poorly photoshopped,
yeah, it was like, and
printed
then,
on low quality ink.
yeah, and then there were some paragraphs, and I just kind of skimmed it, and it was talking about like world peace and how we need to like. It was very very weird, and so anyway, long story short, I instead of telling her no, right, this person asked for my personal information, like a phone number, and I should have just said no, period, right, and it would have been over. I wouldn't have cared. I would have never talked to them again. But I thought, oh, I don't want to be rude, so I just gave her an email address that I can check, but I never look at. Um, like a secondary one. So anyway, I checked that email like 6 months later. I just happened to check it, and there were like several mails from this person, like every 2 weeks, like, oh, like, great to see you. Are you going to come? Firstly, I didn't tell you this too. I did tell them no to their invitation. They asked me what I'm doing the next day and if I'd like to meet them for some like event or like come with them to some place. And I was like, oh, not doing that. Not doing that, but I did give the number, the email, and like I said, long story short, I should have just said no. And when I left, I looked at that phone that the 11-year-old was looking at, and she was watching some like weird propaganda video. There was like black and white images flashing and like words just flashing on the screen, and I think she was being brainwashed. Probably the daughter of one of those women, but yeah.
Maybe
Anyway,
she's just
just
gonna like a techno track or something. Those
just
music videos.
could have been, but yeah, it just anyway, like the saying no. I don't know why I brought that
Well,
up.
they're right. Yeah.
What were we talking about?
You managed to do that and dox yourself at the same time. So
Did I?
congratulations on that. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to edit that out. Podcast is not edited except for when Neil doxes himself.
What did I say? We'll talk about it after this.
When he said, what did they say? Yeah. Anyway. Well, Facebook kind of took away the when they sent you an invitation to some sort of event. It used to be yes, no, and maybe.
Yeah.
They took away the no. Now it's yes and interested.
Really?
Yeah, they
That's
did. I mean,
interesting.
they did this years ago.
I didn't notice that. I think. Wow. What do you think that means? Like, why would they do that? From a, is it not to? I think I remember why we brought this whole thing up. Is it to not hurt people's feelings or something? Is that what this is about?
Well, I mean, you could you could. I'm sure there's many different angles you could go with. You could go with how, due to helicopter parenting, the younger generation's been become weak and they can't take a no. And you can go all the way to this is conditioning people to lose the ability to say no and start falling for things, which could explain all the people who are sick and tired and disgusted with Trump, despite not really understanding his policies and just
That's
listening
pretty
to the
interesting,
mainstream
actually.
media.
That's pretty interesting. The idea of being trained to not say no, but yeah. So I mean, the
I
not.
mean, these these tech companies, they hire hundreds of psychologists and they're doing stuff.
I was another quick example. I think I was having a conversation about politics and about Trump with one of my friends from back in the left kind of democratic stronghold, where that we call the old home, the old world. But yeah, then I think I said something that that person disagreed with, and they were quick to tell me like, oh, but your opinion is also valid, but your opinion's valid. And I was like, um but I could tell that they were just doing it because they felt like maybe I would be upset or something. That I was like, you don't have to like, go out of your way and tell me that, like, you can just say you disagree with what I'm saying. Like, it's not, I don't know, you're trying to be like so soft.
Well, that's the thing in Korea. People do that. I used to have a debate class, and then people would instead of just debating other people, they would just state their opinion and then make sure to state that this is their personal opinion. and it would be something in complete contrast to what somebody else said.
Yeah.
And then there would be no debate or discussion. I'm like, okay, so you disagree with that person. So look at them in the eye and tell them that you disagree.
I mean,
This is a very American thing, I think.
I'll say that I'm. No. Well, the story that I just told you, it was with an American person.
Yeah, well, I meant
But I think I'll tell someone that it's my opinion if it's a topic that I don't know much about. It's just something that I think about. If it's something that I'm not an expert in, then I think that's fair. I think that's fair. But anyway, yeah. So I think for our next, we'll chat. Later. I'd love to hear your occult stories. But I think that's about it.
we can talk about the cult next time.
Yeah. All right. Great to speak with you, Benny.
You as well, Neil.
And we'll see you in the next one.
This is Benny and Neil signing off. Is that our what's our sign off catchphrase?
Okay. We'll think about it.
Benny and Neil, we'll think about it. See you guys.